friends, this is a transfer of Crimean Tatar food. And today with you, Aider Khaibullaev, entrepreneur, butcher by vocation, hunter and traveler, father of 3. And today we will cook Choban-Kebab. This dish is found in the cuisines of different peoples and in different cultures. It's called the same, but everyone cooks it differently. But today we will cook in the Crimean Tatar way. And I will tell you and show you as my grandfather cooked, and I have him from the steppe region of Crimea, and who, as a resident of the steppe, knows how to cook meat well. And the first time I tried this dish was when we went to Sudak to our friend. And the owner slaughtered the goat. And we cooked all kebabs from it. It was unforgettable. And how to cook this dish, you ask? To do this, we only need young meat, salt, and pepper. And it's all. For cooking in dishes, you can use both young lamb and goat meat. In our case, we will use a young ram. But first we need to prepare the coals. Our ancestors simply collected firewood and waited for it to turn into coals, and then simply piled the meat on the coal and waited for it to be cooked. This is all. And the sponsor of our today's project is a trademark of a network of local boutiques. You can find fresh, high-quality meat sausages, delicacies of our own production, frozen semi-finished products, dumplings, manti, sarma, dolma, whatever you want. Every day we have fresh marinades and semi-finished products. Everything you need for cooking meat on fire, outdoors, and so on. This is the best meat in town. People often ask me what part of lamb is the most delicious. I will answer you. All lamb is delicious. But there is one caveat. Different parts are suitable for different dishes. In your case, we need a ham, lamb back. These parts fit perfectly. There is another very important point here. We will use the ham, but not the whole ham. But there is a part, it is called the drumstick, and it ends at the place of the connecting joint. This does not suit us. I don't recommend using this. Although it's a ham. Soups and broths are usually prepared from this part, and they turn out delicious. Until then, I recommend, but not for our dish. In our case, we have a ram from the Black Sea region. So, in principle, it has historically developed that we grow mutton just from the northwestern part of Crimea. In general, I have many life stories connected with sheep. And one of them was just the same in the distant 90s, when we were tight with cash, and all commodity transactions took place on the basis of an exchange. My father brought 150 rams from the Kherson region. And who, if not me, got the fate of watching them? And then one day I was grazing these sheep and playing with my friends. I lost sight of them. And then the clouds came. I rushed to look for them in order to quickly return home, but they were not there. I searched for them until the night and eventually did not find them. And when I came home, I was all crying in fear that they would punish me now. Parents started asking, "Where do you go? Why were you away for such a long time?" I said that I lost the sheep. They said, "Fool. Your lambs have been waiting for you at home for a long time." Yes, I was very happy about it. Well, here it is. And here it is, our long-awaited piece. And now we will cook it. We will do the preparatory work in order to prepare our dish. If we turn to the etymology or meaning of this word, Choban in translation from the Crimean Tatar means a shepherd. A kebab is meat cooked on fire. Total means shepherd's meat or shepherd's dish. Based on the name of this dish, this suggests that this is the most simple dish, easy to prepare, and it requires a minimum of effort. Shepherds often had to cut a sheep right in the steppe and cook a dish from it, because different things happen in the steppe. Sometimes the lamb breaks its leg and some accidents happen, and often the shepherd has to butcher the ram right on the spot. Now we will start cutting our lamb ham. We will cut it into thin plates with a thickness of 0.5 centimeters to make it convenient and easy to cook quickly. First, we will remove all the veins, the fat we don't need. I would also like to dwell on one question. We have meat, and often housewives ask if it is necessary to wash the meat before cooking. This will, of course, be my subjective opinion, as if you yourself can decide whether it is suitable or not, but I will answer you as a butcher who is constantly doing this. In my opinion, if you take meat somewhere in the market, then it is advisable, of course, to rinse it. This, of course, on the one hand, spoils its taste, but on the other hand, meat during slaughter, during transportation, and during the sale at a point of sale, whether it be a market or some other store, it is subjected to various manipulations. That is, during slaughter, some kind of pollution, sewage can get on it. A person can take with dirty hands. This meat can be transported in a not quite hygienic car, and so on and so forth. Therefore, if you see it, especially since the place where you came to buy meat is dirty there, it smells bad. The seller who sells meat to you, he is unpleasant, his clothes are dirty, his nails are dirty there, and so on and so forth. Of course, it is better to wash this meat before eating, because the dish that you will eventually cook will get these contaminants. It may not be hygienic. Now we will separate the pelvic bone. She did not interfere with us. Meat, let's leave it for now. Let's check how our coals are. So great, great, great. We are moving well. Of course, in our case we use good firewood. But you, of course, must understand that there is good firewood in the steppe. Shepherd hard, unfortunately, it was defined. And often ordinary twigs, bushes, and so on were used. In fact, to cook our dish, you don't need a very large fire and a lot of firewood due to the fact that we cut the meat very thinly. It cooks very quickly. And in fact, those coals that are formed from the burning of twigs are quite enough. But in our case, we have the opportunity, so we use good firewood. Here we cut off the meat that we need. This part is called the ham. And you ask what to do with the leftover meat? I will answer you. Crimean Tatars to save meat. Since there were no refrigerators in those days, 3 main methods were used. The first of these is when the meat is fried with a lot of fat. That is, the meat was cooked in a large cauldron with a lot of fat. You can use lamb heat or beef fat, it doesn't matter at all. The meat was completely fried with fat, then placed in a container and poured with this fat. Fat prevents oxygen from entering, and thus the meat did not spoil for a long time. The meat in the container then went down to the cellar, a cool, dry room, and was there when the hostess needed meat for cooking. She went down to the cellar, took the right amount, cut it out of this fat, and used it. The second way is the salting of meat spreads way. I cut into cubes about the same as you cut into shish-kebab, sprinkled with plenty of salt, and it also folded into a container. Then the hostess lowered it. This is in the cellar, also in a dry place. If she needed meat for cooking, she took salted meat from this container, abundantly salted, washed under water, soaked for a while in water, and then used it for cooking in her kitchen. The third storage method is bastama. These sausages could be stored for a very long time and were very tasty. Bastama is meat under pressure. There is a recipe for cooking the product in the salting method. First, it was pre-salted meat, and then you hung it out in an open airing place, without direct sunlight. In this way, the cooking process took place, and then the hostess cut off the right amount of this meat for cooking. And before that she hushed it in water. The meat got a little soaked. It could be used for cooking. I would also like to give you some recommendations on what you should pay attention to in order to buy good meat from a butcher. We will start with an example. We will do this with a leg of lamb as an example. The first thing you should pay attention to is, of course, the permissibility of this meat. It is advisable to buy halal. The second is the color of fat. Fat should be white. If you have a yellow lamb in front of you, which lemon color, yellow or lemon fat, this is most likely a ram in front of you, mature or adult. Next, what should I pay attention to? This is the color of the meat itself. The color of the meat should be pink, light pink, but not dark red. In general, red bloody color, it is most likely that if the meat is dark red, then you have old lamb or adult lamb in front of you. Next is the outer surface. If you touch it and it sticks a little, then it is not fresh meat. The surface must be dry. When touched, it does not stick. Next is the smell. The smell of a young lamb should smell like milk, fresh grass, but nothing else. Well, you know this one. Yes, we have exactly what you need. So, now we will remove, by the way, the lower leg, which I do not recommend to use for cooking our dish, has become quite a tough part for us. Here we have it, and we are just starting to cut this piece of meat. Now we will remove more. We have one bone left, such a small femur. Now we will cut it out a little bit. By the way, yes, my knife is not Crimean Tatar, but very sharp. Well, he looked different. We used a modern knife, and the Tatars used another one. Removed, there was still a knee. Cup. Another very important point. Here in the thigh or in the ham, inside we have a lymph node. Here, we have this node. It definitely needs to be removed. So we will do that too. So, they found the node in. We removed it. And now, at the most crucial moment, the moment we cut this meat into thin plates with a thickness of 0.5 centimeters. So, and voila. You see, This is how we got the steak. This is the basis. For better frying, I recommend making small cuts. It didn't turn out too thin for us. These are cross-shaped. There are different types. Such squares, they will help to better salt and bake the meat faster to cook it. Today we use dishes in our traditional Crimean Tatar, copper and earthenware. By the way, we have from the wonderful Rustam Dervish, and we have pottery from Aider Khaibullaev, for which we thank them very much. We will continue to cut. Well, here, in fact, our meat preparation is ready. We just have to salt and pepper it, and we must go to the fire. To the fire. This means that the process of salting and peppering is elementary. For this, we have our signature dish, black pepper. Pepper to your taste. And a little salt. We don't use marinade here, no butter, nothing, no onions. Like I said, our dish is great. Elementary, simple dish. Since shepherds, being in the steppe, did not have the opportunity to bother and spend a long time preparing food. Therefore, it is as simple as possible. Pepper and salt. Shepherds usually always had small bags with them and used them if necessary. That is, a little salt and that's it. Our meat is excellent. And a little more pepper. Here everyone already tastes. Who loves spicy, who loves more salty, is also at your discretion. But meat loves salt. By the way, there is also a very common question. Is it necessary to salt before cooking or after cooking? Here again, I will express my subjective opinion. I believe that if possible, of course, it is better to salt the meat in advance. Because, well, I again have my opinion on my knowledge of the biochemistry of meat and this whole process. Salt just makes the meat taste better. It kind of works. And if you want to end up with more delicious products, then it is better to salt in advance, and it will enhance the taste of the meat and make your dish more delicious. If you salt after cooking, the process is very simple. We continue further. Well, to put it in a few words, all the Belogorsk district and the place are all the ancestral lands of the Shirin family. And it was in this place that the heads of the clan were elected. And they also shifted if he was guilty or did not behave very well. And so we salted the meat, peppered it, and now we are ready to cook it. Let's go to the coals and see what happens to them. Great. In principle, our coals are ready. But it is necessary that there be no flame. These unburned firewood of ours must be removed so that they do not create discomfort. And it should be the coals. Basically, this is how it should be. Please pay your attention. The coals must be without fire. Just faded. We just have to put directly on top of the coals our meat. And we will use ordinary tongs. But for them to use twigs, if the pieces of coal stick, it's okay. Do not worry. It should be so. Then we will simply remove the remaining hull. You know, because we cut the meat very thinly, you need to watch the meat, not go far. The process is very fast, and if you have fatty meat, as in our case, then a small fire is possible. But there is no getting away from this. How would that be normal? I turn now often due to the fact that it is windy today, and, in general, the wind blows away all the heat, but it is better not to turn over often. So 2 times is enough. On the one hand, they fried it, turned it over, and on the other hand, it fried it, and ideally it should be like this. Our meat is ready. You can clean up. So we will take it, coals, and maybe scrape it a little. Ash won't stop us. Great. I ask to the table. We have the meat ready. It remains only to remove the extra coals, if they are left in pieces of ash. And you can eat, already boldly cut with such thin strips I recommend. And try. Fine. It's great. It was very tasty. Even the pieces of ash that remain on the meat, they give a special piquancy to this dish. Highly recommend. Try it. Make your own. There was a Crimean Tatar food program. Its host is Aider Khaibullaev.